Now we're going to take a look at this fantastic book. Hi, I'm James Thurman and welcome to my series of book reports. Each of these videos will give a brief overview of a book related to metalsmithing or jewelry making that I found particularly useful. Full disclosure, I've not received any compensation for sharing these books. I just really like them and want to share them with others. So today we're going through Jewelry, Concepts, and Technology by Oppi Untract. And this is obviously a thick and comprehensive book, and not something that if you're a beginner, you just want to have a little reference material, not the book for you, but certainly if this is something that you're super into and are dedicating your career to, this is just an unbelievable resource that has extensive technical information as well as historic and contemporary examples and everything. So this is really a one-stop shop as far as a really extensive and wonderful reference material. So like with the other books, I find starting with the table of contents really gives you a sense of how the book is structured and what's going on with it. So again, you can see, I love that he starts with a bit of history and sort of the meaning and messages of things, and then gets into materials, techniques, different material types with sheet metal, wire, tubing, and then subdivides things with using heat for surface ornament or without heat, different ways of fabrication, casting, natural materials and stones, metal finishing, different types of coatings and metallic buildup, coloring, and then lots of great reference materials. So, and as you can see, large amount of text, range of different kind of inspirational and reference images. I love this section of kind of origins of jewelry, what it conveys, why it's so essential, and I love that he's even analyzed. I'm a big sucker for infographics, of course, and this jewel mandala I really appreciate, where, you know, thinking about the jewel, what is it, why are we ornamenting our bodies with it, and then all of these different kind of subsections and influences between the wearer, the collector, and investor, all these different reasons, and sort of gets into a little bit of a material culture analysis of it and everything. We'll skip ahead a lot and just give a couple samples, because this book really is so extensive that I just wanted to have a quick overview of it so you can get a sense of how he approaches things. And have to admit, I am a sucker for these kinds of historic illustrations of tools and materials, but just as an example of this basic technique of how you're going to be working with sheet metal, and introduction to the rolling mill and different types of rolling mills, and again, something that maybe we take for granted in the studio, but you can see his sort of extensive analysis of it and examples through history and contemporary pieces, and even something just, you know, basic measuring and how he's going to go through the range of different tools that we can work with measuring, and continues on through with all of the different processes that you saw outlined in the table of contents there. And a lot of these are just, you know, even just simple illustrations like that may not be easy to see in person, as far as how jeweler saw blades are made and why they're working, and just a reminder of that. Just find so many of those kind of tidbits within the book that I'll pull out and point out to students. Here's an example with repoussé and chasing, and again, you can see a range of historic pieces from around the world, collections of different types of tools and materials used in it, and really just extensive collections of the ranges and possibilities within it. This is just, you know, one illustration of how he's approaching that, and in many of the sections has kind of a nice demonstration, a step-by-step illustration of how a particular practitioner approaches it, and both in text and visual explanation of that, going through all the different stages to a finished piece, and how it might relate to other practitioners, historic and contemporary. And there might be very sort of technical ways of categorizing and referring to things as far as extruded flexible filaments. We might not use that in everyday speech, but I love the kind of analysis of the different materials we're working with, in this case wire. And, you know, we might be familiar with draw plates, but might not be thinking of the range of different shaped draw plates that have been made and are used. And we might, you know, take something basic like wire for granted, but you can just see the range of different applications and approaches that it might be used in. Even something as simple as twisting wire and how combining of different profiles can yield different results within finished pieces. This is a great kind of illustration, and maybe gets some inspiration happening from it for new designs and new pieces. There's not a lot of color photographs in this volume, but there are a few sprinkled throughout the whole book, and usually in reference to a particular section that they're dealing with, for example, with wire in this case. And continuing on with different textile techniques in metal, different forging. And this is a really excellent section that, as we get into more involved forging with our intermediate students, tremendous reference material here, illustration of tools, vocabulary, proper names of all the tools, ways of working, and another great demonstration with Albert Paley, probably now known for larger scale public artworks, but this is a great illustration of one of his earlier forged jewelry pieces. So again, you can see the step-by-step, the different components, how forged elements can really be refined into well-finished pieces of jewelry that are, you know, quite complex with a number of different elements. But I think this is really a great highlight and inspiration in forging. And another section we'll skip to with fabrication. And I just love the kind of the analysis of how he's approaching it technically, and with, you know, fabrication and soldering. This is something that I'll refer back to, and is just really wonderful visual illustration of the range of different types of joints and setups for soldering. And I've done many of these sort of larger scale to illustrate to students, either as parts of demos or just as samples to have available. Skip ahead again. With casting, which can be sometimes challenging for problem solving. I love the range of different approaches that he's covering, from a demonstration of how to do basic cuttlebone casting, and then getting into the intricacies of lost wax casting, all of the different sort of profiles and elements of waxes that are available, tools to be working with them. Our beginners, you know, just sort of jump in, but you can really see that this can be a full-time career just as a wax worker. And again, sort of different demonstrations and illustrations of approaches. And getting into stones and setting, which of course is common historically and in contemporary work. So wonderful references, examples, This is an extensive section that I'll just sort of skim on through. And certainly people spend an entire careers delving into these aspects of working with stones, settings. And gets into finishing techniques. And something even as simple as burnishers that were like, oh, that's a single tool. You can see the range of different tool types and uses that might be involved with burnishing. So really just even the most simplest techniques expands into a range of different possibilities and applications that have been done. And it's really a global survey that he did of all of these different approaches. Getting into the sort of electrochemical aspect of electroplating or electroforming. And although, you know, some tools and materials in the studio might advance, there still are kind of basic processes that are, and the chemistry involved that continue to be true. And all the range of different ways of coloring metals, patinas, the chemistry and formulas involved in that. Of course, whole books on that, but really covers just a range within this book and starts getting into more and more of the reference sections so that you have it all in one place. Even something, you know, maybe that you do more intuitively with determining ring blank lengths based on the thickness of your metal. There it is, all figured out for you. And I like his approach to a glossary because it's he starts with a visual glossary where a lot of times you think, oh, well, it's just going to be vocabulary, something like that. But this is a wonderful starting point for maybe a springboard for creative problem solving within design approaches, finding something fresh and new. Never know what's going to spark that creativity. And then gets into maybe forms that we're more familiar with through different hollowware or metalsmithing techniques we've been involved in. And gets into these different sort of fabrications and approaches and projects, applying those, and then does get into the kind of the vocabulary of it, and even specific vocabulary just within findings. And this combination of the vocabulary with the visual glossary, I go back to this time and time again just to see kind of a range of different possibilities based on a particular challenge in a piece that might be happening. Just wonderful visual references supported by great explanations within the text. Huge bibliography subdivided by topic between technology, history, lapidary, other handbooks and exhibition catalogs, sources for the particular areas, and then of course you wouldn't be surprised to have an extensive index so that you can quickly find whatever topics that you're needing to look up. So like I said, a large book, not your first book that you're going to buy if you're getting interested in jewelry making, but one that I've had for many years and continue to go back to time and time again. So hope this has been a nice glimpse into the book, maybe inspires you to pick up your own copy, and certainly let me know if there's any specific topics or books that I could pull out of my library to share with you in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.